Data collection is critical to GALVMED, which is the Global Alliance for Livestock Veterinary Medicines, because we work in the area of trying to see how we can provide vaccines, diagnostics, and drugs to poor rural farmers who need these products in order to, because if their livelihoods of their animals, if the animals are well, then they can increase their productivity. So, in other words, it's a disease control thing, looking at animal health. And therefore, if we have correct data in terms of quality and quantity of data, we know how many animals are out there and the value of how these animals mean to the people in terms of socioeconomic impact assessment, so that we can now say that it's an area for us to move in and to bring in vaccines. Of course, it also helps us with vaccines numbers. Because if we know there are 1 million cattle, we have to go there with 1 million vaccines. In many cases, that's not what happens. We produce vaccines based on numbers and estimates which are grossly out of proportion. And when you go there, you find out that you have a lot more animals, or less in some cases. So that's why it's very, very important to us. Some of the gaps that we have in the data collection and also analysis, it's actually across the entire chain. You have at the very basic level where collecting the data itself, how to collect it, and the quality of the data. So you have gaps at the level of people understanding on what to collect from the grassroots level. You have gaps in who actually collects this data. Traditionally, it has been extension service agents working for government. Are they the ideal ones because they are under-resourced? The second area where we have significant gaps is how you get the data from the grassroots to the ministries or the places where it's needed for analysis. Because that's also, segmented. There's no harmonized way of doing that. The third place is actually the validation itself, how you do the analysis, because it depends on what kind of technique you want to use, and not all the variables may have been collected for you to be able to interpret something reasonable that you can use during the analysis. The fourth thing that I think is a very important gap is, even when you do conclude your analysis, what do you do with that information? How do you use it to transform people's lives? How do you use it to influence policymakers? How do you use it to influence a change? So I think there's a very big gap there on how you can effectively use the data which you collect. I think private sector now in Africa is a thriving industry now. I think we've come up now and joined the global world platform. And we need to drive our investments based on solid, good data. Therefore, I truly believe that there is a role for private sector to be actually involved along those chains where those gaps exist, in actually going out there to collect the data, because they know it's worth something to them, to make there's an incentive in there for them as well, and to push that quality data up the chain, and the private sector also to use that data to push for more investment and commercialization of veterinary ideologies like markets and demand chains and supply chains and things like that.